Good.
Right. Good. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, guys, how are we? Welcome back to the YouTube. Now, this is take 2 because in front of me here, I've got my Final Cut Pro open, and about, I don't know how many days ago, it's probably nearly a week ago now, I was filming another video, so a few other clips. I've just decided to scrap them. I'll run through a little bit about what I spoke about in some of those clips. The reason I scrapped them is just I feel like I need a fresh start. I started filming and then stopped. Post-show's it's been hard. Not that hard, you know. It's not that hard, but you know, I'm not sat here feeling sorry for myself. But it's harder than harder. Is harder the right word? It's just been a bit tricky to navigate, and I want to speak about my experiences post-show and kind of give a bit of an insight into how things have gone and the plan of action moving forward. So, firstly, I'd like to say thanks to the boys that engineered Riz, Hilly, Deck. They gave me a shout out on the engineered. In the other clip, I actually got the video up. I might have to do that. But yeah, you got Riz on there going, bad boy physique, bad boy physique. And they gave me a shout out because I did a video on pre-mode for Instagram about how it affected specific markers on blood work, which was affecting my stomach and secretion of stomach acid. And Hilly was like, this is really good content, go and follow it. So that was really good. And then they got my check-ins up and was like, you know, this guy's, you know, they've been messaging me, giving me positive feedback. Dex saying I looked bigger on stage and I'm doing my check-ins, so I'm happy about that coming from him. And I just had a lot of support from all three of them, especially Riz. Riz is probably not going to be watching this, but shout out to Riz. I've been messaging him on WhatsApp and he's supported me since day one with everything. And I will be, even though I didn't even mention this to people, I'm not working with Fullboard anymore. Even when I was working with Fullboard, I was still using engineered subs. It's just how it is. Was I using a couple of subs from Fullboard? Yeah, because they sell a few like different brands like JP and that. But listen, I've decided that I don't want to work with them anymore. I've always wanted to work with engineered, and hopefully one day that will come. But regardless, I'm going to plug engineered. I felt like I couldn't plug engineered when I was with Fullboard, and I use a lot of engineered. I still send engineered to all of my clients. It's specifically the health stack, which has been unbelievable for my bloods. Got my bloods done 2 weeks post-show, and they're immaculate in terms of lipids, liver, kidneys, red blood cells, which I'm really excited to dive into that and do an advanced blood work. I will be doing an advanced blood work analysis. I just need to figure out, I'm no good with tech. I need to figure out how I can get it up on the screen and be talking about it on the YouTube video. So Tony helped me out with that. And I'll run through all the markers. The only markers that are off is markers that the retatrutide was affecting in terms of pancreatic enzymes. And there's a few markers that are off that are supposed to be off. Just because things are out of range doesn't mean it's bad. There are markers there that are supposed to be where they are, even in the red, because you're using something. For example, when your FSH and your LH is 0, that's not an issue. You're taking testosterone, it's supposed to be 0. It's supposed to be within the red. So that's just an example. So yeah, shout out to Riz. Thank you very much. I've got to do another engineered order now for the cardiac, and I'll probably be doing a few videos on health subs, performance subs, sleep subs, and the reasons as to why I take those and how they work and how each ingredient of the panel works. I think that'll be something good to do. So where are we now? We are Wednesday the 12th of August, right? So I am I'm basically coming up to 4 weeks post-show. Now, I have not had a takeaway or cheat meal. I have had it's been a tricky period, and I'll tell you why. And I feel like my head's been torn, which it will be, especially since coming off the Retta. You know, unless you're utilising that for someone like Tony with her Hashimoto's, a couple of other my clients with that as well, insulin issues, it can be used as a fantastic tool. I don't like how after a certain point my body's responded to it, and also when you come off, you've not just got to deal with the rebound appetite effects, which are already persistent because you're post-show anyway. I feel like the appetite effects only really last about 8 weeks. Obviously, this is different for everyone. And you don't want to keep bumping the dose, because it's more so slowing gastric emptying as to actually killing any hunger in the brain at that point. And I maybe think that's because it's not an amylin analog like a caglinotide. A caglinotide will work on a separate pathway to the Retta. There is something coming out that will be doing GLP, GIP, glucagon, and amylin. I think it's called a megatide or something. But eventually the food noise is just kind of like there. I hate that term. You sound like a fat Karen, but I've got food noise. Yeah, you don't fucking eat all day. But like, so anyway, like pulling the Retta, stomach's been ropey, felt terrible Saturday. Just not digesting my meals, but the last 2 days have been better. And obviously I'm eating more. Wouldn't even want a cheat meal, because high fats, even when you're on the Retta, if you have a high fat meal, you struggle to digest anyway. When you come off, the drug has, say, however many half-lives, so 5-6 half-lives. So let's say you do 2 milligrams. That 2 milligrams is not really out of your system, let's say 6 days, about 30 days. And obviously there's less in your system as that time passes. So 2, 1.8, 1.5, 1 milligram, and then you get down to where there's no drug left in the body. However, the receptors that the drug were attaching to still need to adjust, because there's no drug left in the system. This then takes another 1 to 2 weeks for things to adjust. So if anyone's ever come off the Retta, you're going to deal with digestion issues, even if you eat minimal. And bowel movements are going to change, everything's going to change. And my concern was the blood sugar rebound as well, like the fasted blood glucose elevated in the morning. But I've been all right. I was at 4.6 this morning. And I'm probably about a week to 10, I'm 7 to 12 days away from having perfect digestion again. I've got a little bit of bloating, like even when I have drinks, raspberry cream, by the way. Don't ask me where I got them from, because I'm gatekeeping it. But yeah, just been a weird period. So I haven't had a cheat meal. I haven't had a takeaway. But I think I did 2 weeks at 3,500 calories, keeping a little bit of cleaning. And I got back down to 100.4. There is a clip at the beginning of this video, and I think I'm around 105.5 here. So what happened was, my GH was a little bit lower, and I was holding 100.5 to 101. And I was thinking and celebrating as this some kind of success. Stage weight on the supers was sorry, in the last show was 102, albeit it was 2 kilo of fluid on me. But let's just say my lowest was 99-ish. Why am I only 1.5 kilos up from stage? It's like this new trend going around that everybody's got to have peeled glutes 4 weeks after the show. You'll see in these videos, that's not me. Even at 100.5, pulling all the orals, still kind of dieting that, I just looked terrible compared to how I did on prep. Then I was thinking, right, is it anything hormonally? You know, is anything off? No, test progesterone, prolactin, estrogen were in a good spot. The estrogen was the same as it was when I got my mid-cycle bloods done, with the EQ dropping my E2 to around 75. So that wouldn't be making me look worse, really, or holding more fluid. If anything, I'd be a little bit dry. But you'll see in these videos, I don't look terrible. And this was a week ago. I've probably gained a bit more body fat since then. But the body's just, for me, post-show, it struggles to find that balance. Like, I gain a lot of fluid, but I did bump my GH as well. Like, I've bumped my GH to like 8. I'll move to 10 tonight because I'm ready to kind of blast soon. Obviously, I've pulled down to a true cruise, even though my bloods were good, where you'll see when we do the analysis that I'm really happy with them. Like the engineered stack, unbelievable. Like the trio, the cardiac, the nephron, the hepatic. Oof, can't believe how good my LDL was, and triglycerides were the lowest they've ever been. And I just did Winstrol Halo for 3 weeks, and around 1.2 gram and 1.3 gram injectables per week. So, right, I wanted a clean out phase. I haven't been asked to train. Still don't have that fire in me to send a session. However, I've still been turning up. There's only been 1 week where I did 4 days instead of 5 because Tony was unwell, so I stayed home with her. It's a weird one. Like, I don't have that dry. It's a rest day today. It's Wednesday, and I'm like, thank God, because I can't be asked to train. So, like, I just want to run you through. Let me scale back a bit. Routine in the morning. Waking up the same. I'm getting up at like 10 to 6. Going to bed about 8:30, 9. So I'm getting about 8 to 8 hours 15 of quality sleep with a few wakes. I'll do, so per week, I've listed out 5 lots of 20 minutes lists, 2 lots of 5 minutes hit on the end of one of them, and 12 to 13.5K steps per day. So I'm keeping expenditure quite high. I have done since the shows. Again, just to try and navigate through this reversal rebound. But so I'll wake, do my cardio, I'll do like, cardio is generally Monday to Friday. The hits will be Monday, Wednesday, because that's away from the leg days. Again, I haven't really sat down and sorted out my split fully. I've just been playing around with something for this next 6 weeks. So I'll solidify that for when off season begins very soon. I'll do steps between meals, and then I'll clock up about 13K per day. It's quite a lot still. On a Saturday when I do legs, I'll probably drop my steps. I'll drop my cardio on a Saturday or Sunday, and I'll do 10 to 11K steps. We're actually going Pilates on Sunday. I need better core strength. I need better abs. That's another thing on my physique is I gain a bit of body fat and I've got no abs, but I can pull 300 for reps. Like my midsection, my bracing is strong. My transverse abdominis is like a tight belt. But the actual abdominal development is terrible because I just neglected them. And my lower back does all the work. My lower back gets so tight, but my erectors are so developed. Even my obliques are shit because my QL, quadratus lumborum, will fire instead of the obliques, which is crazy. But it's just from years of heavy hinging and squatting. So, yeah, Wednesday, Sundays is resting from lifting. I've done a 4-day week. I just know that I'm still like going in the gym, and I can't be bothered. I'll be honest with you. I have to be honest with people. I haven't had the fire to train for about 6 weeks because before shows, I was fried because I was digging hard. Then on the week of the pump up, you don't really train for the shows. Then post show is hard because you're recovering. Although my sleep's been great, I feel like I'm at the back end of it now. Feel like I'm at the back end of it, but I just feel off, and I'm not excited to train, but I'm still training. When I train, I don't have a bad session necessarily. I've got energy for the set because I'm on more food. And then between sets, I'm like trying to catch my breath and I'm a little bit more laboured. But then after, I feel like I'm glad I did that. So I'm training with my client Saturday. He's coming down from Norwich. He's got a show soon. So we'll send the legs together, I'm sure. So food, let me get this up. This is, I've had ups and downs with this because, again, coming off the rhetoric can affect your appetite so much. You can make wild decisions. How I haven't had an off plan, I think it's where my digestion's been so shit. It's not even worth having off plan because I'll be in pain with my stomach, right? Because it's taken a few weeks to get back to normal bowel movements. But people can still overeat. I've tried finding a balance between pushing my food up and not getting fat and just keeping it clean, lowish fat, high carb, high proteins, try and fill me up. Decent fibre with all of the vitamins and minerals covered on a chronometer. So let me run through this. This is kind of what I've been doing. And this is only, we had a period on the 3.5K for like 2 weeks, held that weight, felt terrible, had one day of like 800 carbs, about 5,000 calories, gained 4.5 kilos overnight. So I went from 101.5 to like 105.9. So I'm looking at the scales next morning. That's 4.5 kilos. Didn't even have a cheat meal. No extra sodium. Normal fluid. Just a normal day of eating. About 5.5K, 800 carb. And I was like 4 kilo up in one night. It's not body fat. It's just so much fluid and glycogen I was obviously still very depleted. So I was like, right, so basically 106. And then since then, I've been holding around 108s. That's with GH moving back up to 8, we'll go to 10 tonight. Now, I would have, in that engineered podcast as well, they spoke about reversing carefully and rebounding. I tried the reversing carefully for 2.5 weeks, still didn't have lines in my glutes like I did on prep. Yeah, because of that spike up to 105, just looks thicker, holding a little bit of fluid. I think it's where I hold a lot of fluid, it takes time to settle. So I was like, right, then in my head, I'm like, fuck it. I'll send a full old school off season. You know, I'm watching videos of Sass doing like 300 gram of oats. I was like, let's do that. No, just take your time. You don't want to, the main thing holding me back, listen, we'll run through roadmap in a minute of how I've got to, we will probably do an old school off season because I've never really done one. Although they're not optimal, I'm going to pack on some serious size this year. I just needed to find a middle ground. The fact that I'm doing 5 cardios and averaging 12K steps a day will keep me in decent condition. We've got a photo shoot in 2.5 weeks. I just need to look lifestyle lean. I've been doing abs every day just to keep my abs there because my abs are shite, like I said. Doing them in the morning, doing them at the gym. It needs to happen. I need to develop my abs because it will be better mentally for me in off season to see that as well. And it's something that I need for more when I diet down. So let's kind of run through roadmap here. TRT's been for 4 weeks, 150 milligram a test. Test D, that is, if anyone cares. And then 4 to 8 IUGH. 10 IUGH going in tonight. From there, we'll stay for the whole off season. Just because we're going to push things this year. Going to push my cycle, going to push my growth, going to push my food, because we've not done that yet. I'm done with the bikini curl dosages. You've got to understand, I've done an echocardiogram 2 months ago, which was fantastic. I've done a full Atlas Prestige blood work, which was fantastic. The markers that I wanted to see that were off are all where I want them, bar HDL. And ApoB is linked with HDL. HDL is always going to be like people that take testosterone, generally. If you get HDL in range on cycle, it's going to drop anyway. So you just have to do your best to keep it where it is. The EQ that I used for the first time this cycle did not affect kidneys or hematocrit. But I did have a bloodlet a week before the bloods. But my hematocrit was fantastic. My kidneys, my cystatin C was unreal. You'll see all that when we do the video. So I'm thinking of cycle design this year. We'll do another video on that soon. I'm thinking about maybe trying a little bit of pre-mowing again but just manage the stomach issues or go very low dose. I'm talking like 200 milligrams, just as a buffer of everything else. I wouldn't go above 400 EQ. I'll be pushing my test up this off season with my GH. So yeah, I've had my echo. I've had a full blood panel a week after prep when they're going to be at their worst, and they're great. I don't want to say I'm done, but listen, I'm 30 now. I am done with this. I'm always so on top of my health, and I invest thousands into keeping it perfect. And like, I've not run, people always say that, but these old school bodybuilders are like, I've never done above a 1.5 grams. Trust me, if they've been about a while, these idiots have done 2 or 3.5 grams per week. And now everyone's on this like safer use kind of, do you know what I'm saying? But if they've been in the game and they've been bodybuilding a while, I was lucky that when I started bodybuilding was 2021, which was when the safer use stuff come about, and I was with Cal. Obviously, I took gear a couple of years before that, but it was test and Anadrol because I used to powerlift. GH, just test Anadrol, and then sometimes I think I used a Deca. Again, because I was just lifting heavy. So I've been so on top of my health for this since 2022, which is 4.5 years. Blood's done. Echo twice. Kidneys scan, liver scan, ultrasound. Everything's great. I'm in such a good spot, and I'm 30 now. I'm coming into my prime. This next, 5 years for me before we have kids is crucial. I want to turn pro when I'm 32, compete as a pro for 2 or 3 years, and then have kids when I'm about 35, 36, and start that new chapter then. And who knows if I'll still be doing it then. So we're going to push injectables this year. But I've earned my right to do that. I'm not 25, 26, 27, 28 with lack of experience and haven't titrated up to that yet. I've earned my right to go up there. I've never done above 1.3 to 1.4 grams injectables ever. And I would have been on under a gram prior to that, then a gram point. Do you see what I'm saying? Over this last 4 years, we've been tapering up. And the orals that I've used, I've only competed 2 preps. The orals I've used is a little bit of Winstrol and Anavar. The Anavar will go in sooner on shows, but Winstrol's like 2 weeks. Halo's like 2 weeks. It's not having any effects long term, which we can see on my blood panel. So I'm going to push things this year, and like I said, I've earned the right. So I've got a consult with Dean tomorrow. My aim is to keep my blood glucose in check because there can be a bit of a rebound from that. So we're going to run through all the subs that I need. I've got everything. Don't really want to touch metformin, I don't believe, just because of the IGF problems. Berberine, literally everything. I've been using glycotank by Engineered. Turbo Digest as well, which is fantastic. I'm probably going to do another week on this, and then I'm going to start blasting. So that will be 5 total weeks, and then I'll be on cycle. So the roadmap for me now, I've briefly spoke about this, but I think in another video. It's like, did I want to reverse or rebound? I will. I believe this year. I'm not competing till 2028 now. So there's room for 3 off seasons. I am still going to reverse carefully. If I can hold around that 110 mark before off season, 109 mark, that would be great. Which I think I will. I think I'm holding around 108 on this food. And the fact that I've had no off plans, although I've had 2, like a spike up and then a little bit of a push, is healthy weight. And although to me I don't look lean with pill glutes, like some of these guys are like 75 kilos reversing, and it's like they still look peeled. Like I said, that's not me. We all have different body fat set points and how we are genetically, and my body is built for growing tissue. But then what happens is I don't really get, like, the body fat goes to my glutes and my chest and my lower back. So I've just got to keep, I'm never going to keep glute lines in off season, but it's time to get absolutely massive. And I will be doing an old school off season where I'm pushing food, appetite's dipping, you know. And yes, when I'm watching Joe's video the other day, listen, most people are right, Joe Gann, perfectly reversing, keep your appetite for 20 weeks. You gain a lot of tissue like that. You keep your insulin sensitivity. I just feel that for me, I've never had that old school off season of pushing food, pushing drugs, being a bit more laxy daisy with training in terms of if I hit something once a week, especially like my legs, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have to do a twice a week frequency, you know. And for the majority of people doing it that way that Joe is explaining when I watch his YouTube videos, fantastic. For me, I'm kind of gonna sit on both ends. I've done the careful reverse out, looked to myself and was like, I still look like a bag of shit. Fuck it. Didn't hit the fuck it button, but I have now started pushing calories. And obviously eating more is not going to gain more tissue. So there's finding a balance, but I do believe that I'll be eating extra body weight, push up in androgens. It's a tricky one. Yeah, I'm going to gain some body fat this off season, but I'm going to look still lean because of the amount of size I'm going to gain. Then when I do my mini cut, I can then go into 2 leaner off seasons after that, staying leaner. But this period here, in this post-show rebound, it gives me the opportunity to try a rebound. Although it's not a true rebound, because a rebound would be 4 to 6 to 8 weeks straight away from the shows, I've needed time to recover from the prep. For some reason, for me, post-show feels worse than on prep. And I wouldn't have wanted to stay on cycle, and I wouldn't have wanted to eat 5,000 to 6,000 calories and absolutely blow up, because I haven't even wanted to train much. But understanding that I need a sufficient amount of food to kind of get me out of that. This is enough food to get me out of the hole, but not get fat. The sleep is the other thing. Every night I have a sleep, I'm like, one more night of recovery, one more night of recovery. And this week I am feeling a little bit better. So we'll do TRT, true TRT. Again, a lot of people are just dropping down to TRT plus. That's fine, but I could have done that as well. But I'm just ready for a big blast now. So I wanted to ensure that I only did the 150 milligram test, even though it was for 5 weeks and there's androgen still in my body. My bloods and my echo are fantastic, and I'm going to run with that. So I'll do an off-season cycle when we get there, but it's going to be a bit of trial and error of trialing compounds and seeing the synergy between compounds as well. For me, this will be my first old school off-season. Like I said, pushing food. The first, I'm talking like the back end, like the last 6 weeks, like struggling to get your meals down, feel a bit lethargic, but your training's through the roof. Getting strong, building some dense, thick tissue, which I need everywhere to be competitive for 2028. And then I'll mini cut, and then I've got off season 2. So roughly I'll be in a surplus. Technically I'm in a surplus now. So plan of action from today's date is basically for 22 weeks in a surplus, 8 to 12 week mini cut, 20 weeks in a surplus, which is cycle 2, 6 week mini cut, 16 weeks in a surplus from September to January. And then January after my birthday, so the 17th of January, I'll start a pre-prep of 6 weeks maintenance, and then I'll start a 16 to 20 week prep, roughly from end of Feb, start of March 2028 to May, June, July, whenever I decide to do the shows. And I will start leaner because, you know, I'll have 3 off seasons of gaining tissue in there. One now where I'm going to be a bit more aggressive coming out of that post-show rebound after the body's settled for 4 or 5 weeks. Then this big, so they've got this big off-season push coming, a tidy up, second push, a tidy up, a third push. It totals like 16, 20, 22 weeks, 42. 58 weeks in a surplus. That's more than one. It's like 1 year and a month and a half in a surplus on 3 cycles, and then we'd come in and smoke it on 2028. So that's the plan. I document my whole off season, and all again just touching on like body image and stuff like that. Although I don't look how I looked on prep, I'm not going to let that affect me. I'm still going to wake up, pose, because it can make you not want to take photos and that, but I'm still going to do it and document it. But like I said, guys, I'm not one of these guys that stays lean. I haven't binged, I haven't messed up my diet post show, and I still don't look peeled like some of these guys that are just thin, tight skin. It's not me, and that's fine. But I've proven I can get peeled from a shit position, not a shit position, but in 16 weeks I got peeled. You know, that's not too bad. With a better starting position, a pre-prep, knowing that I'm going to compete, because I didn't know I was going to compete this year, off the back of 3 push-ups with, I can gain in 3 off seasons literally 8 to 10 kilos of real tissue. So, you know, then having a real pre-prep, a good starting point, I can get peeled in 16 weeks with glutes dug out. And that was with a shit starting position and no off season. So imagine all those positive things that I mentioned that are setting that up. So yeah, I obviously need a better starting position for prep, but that's why the timeline is laid out how it is. And everything leads up to that. But this off season is so far away from that prep. This rebound, I can utilise this old school rebound soon. All right, yes guys, welcome to a full day of eating. So today I'm going to be running you through my full training day meals. It's day 1 of off season. Day 1 of off season, number 1 of 3 before the next shows in 2028. So I'm very, very excited. We've had 4 weeks basically reversing out from the shows. Bit of a tricky period. We'll discuss that, you know. I've discussed that in previous parts of this video. And I just thought, what can I do for the rest of the video? I'll do a full day of eating and maybe a few training clips. So here is what we've got. Meal 1. I'll run through the amounts in a minute. I'm just going to show you first. Asparagus, as always. And then we have got salmon, egg whites, avocado, sourdough. And then, because we're in off season, we've got more sourdough as well. Just can't fit it on one plate. You can see this. And then the 0 sugar tomato ketchup, because it tastes the best. I've actually had a coffee. I'm a little bit late to the party because I had to go to Tesco to stock up on some stuff. But this is it. And I'll run through the amounts after I've eaten so it doesn't get cold. Alright guys, so that's meal 1 finished and wrapped up. Actually, I've got to show you that this asparagus I leave for later, so because we just cooked 2 packs in the morning, so I have around about 200 grams. Is that tracking me? I have about 200 grams in the morning, and then another 75 grams with one of my meals later, with my chicken and rice meal. So let's run through the amounts of that and the reasons as to why we're eating the foods as well. So, because I plug all of my nutrition in on the chronometer to see vitamins, minerals, electrolytes. And obviously, because this is day 1 of every 5th season program, I want to see where I'm sitting at in terms of those new amounts. Because obviously, when you're in a deficit, you're on less food, the vitamins and minerals and electrolyte profile will change, obviously. So what do we have there? So meal 1, basically that's quite a heavy calorie meal. My meal 1, we're going to see how we digest this food today. Like, even when you are rebounding off the Retta, if you come off it, which is another question, whether you should or you shouldn't. I don't necessarily feel the benefits in an off season would be worth it. I can keep my insulin sensitivity fantastic. Even on the rebound at the moment, sometimes you see a bit of a rebound in terms of fasted blood glucose or postprandial blood glucose, but my fasted blood glucose has been between 4.5 to 4.7 every morning, and post meal has been 4.7 to 4.8, and that was after like a 200 gram carb meal. which was breakfast, 170, which goes to show that I am in a very good spot insulin sensitivity wise. But the aim is to keep that, and that's even bumping the GH to 10 IU as well. But obviously that's short term. I'm going to be on that long term, and that can obviously, because of the release of free fatty acids and the way that growth hormone works, yeah, I think it's people who don't live the lifestyle, people who bang a lot of GH, unless they already have insulin or diabetic issues anyway. People who use a lot of GH, if they're not doing the daily, like not daily, but fasted cardio a few times a week, they're not doing their HIIT, they're not doing their steps, they're not really training hard, because all of those things are going to improve your insulin sensitivity. So is 10 IU of GH going to really dampen that? Maybe for like a 5-month off season at the back end. But for now, we're going to see how that rides out. So meal 1, 250ml of egg whites. I actually adjusted this a little bit, brought the protein down because the protein is still so high. But again, that's for satiation purposes. We'll run through the total macros at the end of the video. 250ml egg whites, 120 gram of smoked salmon, which is a slightly lower fat smoked salmon than the traditional. We get it from Lidl. Only slightly, the macros are slightly different to like a normal salmon. So like, for example, 120 grams of salmon is 27 protein, 12 gram of fat, which is decent. Jason's sourdough, 7 slices, which is about 350 grams. Avocado, 80 grams, and asparagus, 200 grams. Protein, 92, fats, 31, carbohydrates, 171. And that comes to 1,331 calories. Now, I only have 5 meals on a training day, so most would probably split that. However, even though my digestion's been funky, that meal's been going down. A little bit bloated after, but that will sort itself out once the reta has cleared. But in terms of the stomach getting back to its normal self post drug clearance, that's going to take another week or so, but we should be fine on that today. So it's 1,300. I like to get a lot of my fats in the morning and in the last meal, which is what you'll see today. My next 2 meals are 4 and 8 gram of fat, and then 3 gram of fat. And the last one is 23. So that's my highest fat meal of the day. And the reason I'm choosing those sources, avocado's monounsaturated fat, which is fantastic for improving potential LDL markers. And then what have I got? Avocado tastes lovely as well. And then smoked salmon, which is generally omega-3, EPA and DHA, which is already in your omega-3s that you take. I still supplement with 2 omega-3s and 6 omega pro, because the omega pro has DPA in also. Now, why would I want to have majority healthy fats in my program? Having healthy fats in your program will not only help with potentially lowering triglycerides in terms of omega-3s, 6, and the monounsaturated can help with LDL and improving that on blood work, even though my LDL is in a good spot. It will also help with insulin sensitivity, definitely. Obviously for bodybuilders, we don't want to bump fat too high or like saturated fat too high. But that's when you have your cheat meals and stuff like that. It's expected. Like, we went out for my first off-plan meal Saturday night, and we went for a Turkish, so I had a lovely meal. I had like lamb in wraps with mince, lamb mince, halloumi, hummus. That's all high fat. It's a high calorie. If you're eating like that all the time, you will worsen your insulin sensitivity, absolutely, because of the type of fat and the dense amount of heavy calories that are consistently going in with your cheat meals. Only really am I going to aim to really bump fats from here once carbohydrates are bumped to what's tolerable for me, digestion, appetite wise. My aim now, really, I've got the roadmap up in front of me. So like week 1 of off season, we are literally going to be trying to push for 22 weeks in a surplus from here. So the aim is to not lose appetite for the whole Even if if the last 4 or 5 weeks are where you're struggling and force feeding, like I said, I'm going to have an old school off season. I'm not one of these people that stays lean. I'm going to push through and I'm going to get massive. But this is our starting point for the food, as you'll see the total at the end of the video, and we'll taper up from here. But yeah, it's a nice meal. It sits well. It's got plenty of healthy fats in. It's got 170 gram of carbohydrates, which is I have 2 meals before I train, so that also gets digested gradually for training. And the protein being higher in that meal specifically, and my last meal, is just for I'm trialing out a higher protein. What should I call it? Off-season diet at the beginning, just while my appetite is ravenous. Eventually, I can bring the protein down and bump the carbs for the same amount of calories. But for now, the amount of carbohydrates I'm on is giving me good training performance. My training performance seems to be a lot better. This last 3 days, I've really wanted to train, so I'm glad that's back. It took 4 weeks. It took me 4 weeks to want to train again. And that might not sound like a long time, but it is. When you're used to enjoying training every week. And also, that 4 weeks was post-show. I didn't really enjoy training in the peak weeks. So it's probably been about 8 weeks since I've been excited for the gym. And Saturday, unfortunately, my stomach was a bit bloated, so legs was affected. But like today, I'm up for training. Even last week, I think I did shoulders, then chest. I had a good session. It was only an hour and 15, but it was a good session. And that's what I need to continue now. If anyone wonders what the noise is, there's many fans, because I get absolutely boiling. From August the 17th, which is today, Monday, all the way to the 17th of January, which is a Sunday, weeks long, eating and growing. I've still got to do the blood work video as well. I've got to analyse that. It's going to take me a while because there's a lot on there. But yeah, so the aim with the nutrition here is to obviously, I still feel absolutely starving, which is expecting but that's good. I want to keep that. And I don't want to get heavy in my lower back to go. We even started Pilates yesterday, which was unbelievable. Loads of glute work, loads of adductor, core, which I need more of. And hopefully that'll keep the pressure off my back this off season, because what happens is once I get above a certain weight, my back just gets pumped when I'm walking and I don't enjoy my steps. Whereas today I was 112, so I've seen a bit of a skyrocket in body weight from the GH, obviously from the off plan. To think I was 101 on stage, you could argue that's like 11 kilo up, but it feels about 4 or 5 of that kilo is fluid. Like if I dropped the GH and dropped the carbohydrates down for 2 days, I'll probably be back to like 108. So I'm not stressing too much. It's not body fat. I still put body fat on, but not excessively. And like I said, I even had body fat on me even a week and a half post-show when I was trying to hold around 101s. So I don't look that much worse. I just look a lot thicker and a little bit fluffier. But again, the drugs are going back in. Testosterone is going to be pushed this off season. Growth hormones being pushed. Carbohydrates are being pushed from today, and also pretty much have been over the weekend. So yeah, that's all good. I'm going to go and prep meal 2 now. So it's 9:15. I now do check-ins for about an hour and 45. Any admin stuff to set up the week. And then I'll have meal. Today we're leaving about 11:45 to go to factory. So meal 1 was at say 9:15, 8:30 usually. Meal 2 will be at 11 to 11:15. And then we get to the gym for like 12:30. So I'm going to go make that now and put that in the freezer. And I will show you the next 4 meals for the rest of the day. We're just wrapping up a little bit of, that's my meal plan. Was wrapping up a little bit of check-ins, and then I actually did a Pilates class yesterday at In Motion in Wickford. I think I mentioned it earlier. It was absolutely proper, decent. It's what I'm going to need to keep my core a lot better in the off season. My core's terrible, and I lean down and not really got good abs. My glutes and lower back are so developed and so tight. that they take over from my anterior chain. So the hip flexor work we did in this class and ab work was perfect. But we did a bit of quad work as well. We obviously trained legs on a Saturday. Next time I'm just going to leave that out. We don't need to be doing a lot of quad work the day after legs. I told that to the girl, but I just did it yesterday because it's first time. But we're probably going to do once a week or once every 2 weeks on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday night. Sunday mornings would be better because you can be fasted and my stomach's a bit flatter, I can engage better. But yeah, so just wrapped up check-ins, and I will show you what have we got here. We have got 100 grams engineered hydro rice, 60 grams of Trained by JP Performance Whey chocolate caramel biscuit. We have got 100 gram pineapple, 50 gram of strawberries, 3 rice cakes, 30 gram of honey, so 10 gram of honey on each. Got my Slim there, and this is pre-workout, so this comes to, so we've got 52 protein, 4 gram of fat, 150 carb, 844 calories pre-workout meal. So decent size, meal number 2 of 5. And then obviously the intra drink is technically a meal 6 or a 6th protein spike. Units of Slim, people will always say like 1 unit per 10 gram of carb. I don't go anywhere near that. Generally a rule of thumb, especially when you're not on like tons of, like this is a decent amount of carbohydrates per day. I'm not doing any long acting. I do not need long acting at the moment. The pancreas is working efficiently, it's perfect. The fasted glucose, the postprandial glucose is fine. Generally, you want to use rapid acting Slim when your markers or your fasted glucose markers are in a good spot. You would only really use long acting when the pancreas is struggling to keep up and your fasting glucose and postprandial glucose is elevated. So I'm not using any Lantus, I just use pre and post, and I'll do 8 IU pre and 8 IU pre, 6 to 8 IU post. So even though it's 150 gram of carb, someone will be like, well, plus the intra shake, which is 30 carb, you combine those together to make 180 gram of carbohydrates, right? So someone might go, oh, I'll do 18 IUs of rapid acting. That's far too much. You don't need that much to shuttle the nutrients and get a better nutrient partitioning. Rule of thumb is 25 to 50% of rapid acting Slim per amount of total carbohydrates. So if you've got 150, because there's 2 peaks of rapid acting Slim as well, people miss the second peak at around 2.5 hours, and that's what catches them. If they don't have their intra workout shake on point, they're having like a leg session or a deadlift session, you can go hypo. And obviously it's going to be trial and error, so I'd start on the lower end. For me, I know what works. 50% is fine. So when I say 50%, so 180 gram of carbohydrates is the total of the carbohydrates from the pre-workout meal, 150, plus 30 grams of carbohydrates from my intra shake. Now I'll jab that, let's say it's 11:15. I could do that now, or sometimes I do it 10 minutes after a meal, just at the moment because the digestion's a little bit slower because of my stomach, just being careful. So I'll probably eat and then jab it. So this will still be in my system for about 4 hours. It will tailor off after that 3 hour mark and it will peak around 90 minutes. So it will hit within 10 to 15. It will peak in 90, but there is that second spike around 2 to 2.5 hours, which is when your intra shake is going in or has gone in. So 180 gram of carbohydrates from the pre-workout meal and the intra shake would mean if someone went by the rule of thumb of 1 IU per 10 grams, they do 18 IUs. No, I'm doing 25 to 50%. So 50% of 180 is 90, so that's 9 IU. So I'm going in at 8 IU today. And if that's, I won't be going hyper on that. If that's fine, I'll just keep it there. I don't feel, if I then bump carbohydrates and it goes to 250 grams total for the intra shake and the pre, I might push it to 10. I don't really think you need any more than 10 IUs to slint, even if you're, I mean, are people really pumping 400 gram of carbs? Not really. Max you probably do is like a 300 gram peak off season, because you'd have 200 in your, maybe your 200 to 50 max, and then you probably have 50 to 75. So yeah, you wouldn't really push above 12 IU really. So yeah, that's meal 2. We're going to train. I haven't prepped my other meals today because we're going to be back. We're leaving here and leave at 12, half 12, train for 2 hours, be home by 3, 3:15, and then I can eat at 3:30. Right, just got to the gym. So we have got, what is this? Turbo pump.
Yeah.
Turbo pump stage 2. The strawberry flavour. We had that's 2 scoops in there, but we share it, so a scoop each. We had half a can of that raspberry cream. I don't really want to start hammering pre's. I've just enjoying this train again. I don't think I need a 400 milligram pre-workout for these sessions. Might do the odd one a week. I just don't want to build up a huge tolerance. So we just have half a can of Ghost, 100 mg caffeine. The pump formula carries you a long way, which has obviously got no caffeine, and it's just got like glycerol powder, which is amazing for, you know, intracellular pump. And then here, my intra for today is just the raspberry Lucozade out of the freezer. 30 carb. The reason being is that I've got some MPS Max in 1.5 litres of water, obviously, in my bag. So that's my EAAs and hydration for the session. And I have 10 gram of glutamine, 10 gram of creatine in there. But I haven't got any performance fuel from JP. I'll either get the Intracarb from Sup Needs or the performance fuel from JP. And then one of those will go in. It could go in the 1.5 litres of EAAs, but you know what? I might end up doing it in a separate 500ml bottle, like this Lucozade is. And what I'll do is I'll sip on my carbs first, drink the carbs within 15 minutes, so that can absorb, you know, because of the rapid acting over as well. And then the EAAs, it can go in after that. So regardless of when I do get the performance fuel, it'll probably be in a separate bottle. But for now, Lucozades, we've had pre, we've had pump. I've got push today. What have you got?
Delts, back, no abs, because my abs are hurting from Pilates yesterday.
Mine are okay. My hip flexors were on fire yesterday. That's great. That's what I need. Really need that detail in my hip flexor. So I'm going to actually take one of the exercises that they gave us with a band. I'm going to start doing that in the week as well. My hip flexors were fucking massive. They were pumped. And that's what I struggle to contract on stage, because my glutes have always been so dominant that the hip flexors have essentially turned off and they struggle to activate, which is why my VMOs are quite developed in my legs. So it's all like adding pieces to the puzzle together. I'm going to go and do push now. I might film like 1 or 2 exercises. It's not going to be a full session. And then we'll get back and we'll show you the rest of the full day of eating. Okay guys, post-workout, it is now 4 o'clock, so we're a little bit behind today, only because I had a look at my client post-workout today, Luke. He's got a show in 6 weeks. I wanted to spend a bit of time with him, have a look in person. He's looking where he should be for 6 weeks out, so excited to get into the final dig. Right, post-workout meal is, it's going to track my face, so if I turn this around. Oh yes, bad boy meal that is. So we have 125 grams of rich chocolate brownie cream of rice, 60 gram of, is it rich chocolate milkshake, trained by JP, one of the new flavours, 120 strawberries, 50 raspberries, the raspberries are usually blueberries, I'll switch between, 15 gram of Waitrose, 80% dark chocolate, 15 gram of jam, 10 gram of honey. So macros for that, let's see, they come out to 53 protein, 8 fat, 140 carb, 844 calories. So I'm going to get this down me. The honey goes on top, the jam goes to the side, strawberry jam. The honey goes on top of the fruit. That's good. That's good. I'm going to devour this. Next meal will be at 5:30, so an hour and a half, and then like 7 to 7:15. Hence only the 5 meals a day, because timing wise it works. So the rich chocolate brownie complete strength, cream of rice is complete strength, by the way, is one of the best, strongest flavoured chocolate cream of rices, and then you can pretty much put whatever way you want with it. You could even put like vanilla whey with it, but I just put either chocolate or chocolate biscuit or a dark chocolate whey, something like that. So I'm going to get this down me. Another 8 IU of Slim went in 5 minutes ago, so I did it before eating. And then I'm just knocking up meal 4 as well, and Tony's helping me, so I'll show you that soon. What have we got here? What concoction have we got? Let's get this up. We have got chicken, onions, lettuce, spinach, 25 gram of kimchi actually, which I need to get. Fermented kimchi, that is. Probiotics, antimicrobial. Now this is where it gets good. Whoops. So, let me show you this again, because it's got 2%. First of all, we've got like 75 gram of asparagus from this morning. Plate's a bit dirty with a tomato sauce, but I'm going to have that. You've got, as shown, kimchi, lettuce, spinach, onion, chicken and sushi rice. We'll run through the amounts in a bit. And I put mustard. I'm loving mustard this last week. I think it's when my taste buds are kind of craving like flavourful stuff. Then 100 gram banana, which is sweet. Yes, it goes on top of the mustard, or near the mustard and tomato sauce. So that is meal 4. Gonna get this down. Probably have a little bit more mustard. Boom, last meal, meal 5 of the day, of the training day. Now this is day 1 of off season. So I wanna run you through what the meal is usually gonna be. And then I'm gonna give you 2 carb swaps for those meals. So I like to have a little bit more flexibility with my last meal and off season. It can be pretty much anything. Most bodybuilders are eating the same thing, but we have got, this is what I was having on the reverse and what I'll have in off season and taper up if I didn't have this. 200 grams of gluten-free oats, 75 gram of whey, 75 gram of blueberries, 10 gram of honey, 15 gram of nut butter. So it would be an oatmeal for the last meal. Or you can have a chicken and rice meal or whatever. What I've got here today is a low-fat sausage with protein cheese wrap. Doesn't look amazing, but is unbelievable. I've got 4 wraps. Now that have lettuce and onion inside, and then I'll have 50 gram of blueberries when I go back out. And that is how they look. Honestly, they were actually initially just chicken, but then on the beginning of prep we had low-fat sausages from Aldi. The macros are unbelievable. So here I've got 6 low-fat sausages, 4 wraps, 75 grams of Eat Lean cheese, which is just pure protein. Lettuce, onions, and then strawberries or blueberries. Is that right? Yeah. So the macros for that meal come to... Now you could have chicken in there as well, just have chicken wraps. So that would be like, say, 200 gram of chicken is about 6 sausages. So that comes to 117 protein, 22 fat, 146 carb. And the oats meal was slightly less protein, it's about 80 protein, 16 fat, 161 carb. So both meals are around the 1,200 calorie mark. Let me just get that to lock onto my face. Totals for the day. Get it up on my phone. And for day 1 of off season, week 1 of off season number 1, we've got 3 off seasons in this next year and a half. This is week 1, day 1, week 1 of off season 1. Today's total comes to 380 protein. I told you it was quite high, just for satiation in this current period. 69 gram of fat, plus omegas on top, which will probably bring that to around 75 gram, but 69 from nutrition, and 734 gram of carbohydrates, 5,077 calories. If I had the oats in there, it would be roughly 360 protein, 69 fat, 722 carb, which is 4,932. So we're looking at 5,000 calories daily. So the reason for this here is just to ensure, one, there's more flexibility in off season. Are the low fat sausages any worse than chicken or beef mince? No, you can even have beef mince here. Beef mince, the low fat sausages are low fat, they've just got a little bit more carbs in. If you had beef mince, or I don't really think you'd put salmon in a wrap, but if you had like salmon and rice, it would bump the fats up. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy these, make sure they fill me up pre-bed, and then we're off to bed. Been going to bed at 9, waking up at 5:45. Rinse and repeat now, time to get massive. So that's a full day of eating, guys. 5 meals on training days with the intra-workout drink as well. And we will taper up from here. Generally, I would like to see all 4 of the first meals staying the same. So we had the egg whites, salmon, avocado, sourdough, asparagus. Pre-workout was hydro rice, whey, strawberry, pineapple, corn cakes, honey. Intra-workout shake was MPS, plus a Lucozade, but will be the performance fuel. Post-workout was cream of rice with whey, strawberries, blueberries, jam, honey, and dark chocolate. Then I had the chicken, sushi, fermented kimchi, onion, spinach, banana, and some more asparagus. And then this meal here with the sausages, wraps, cheese, or chicken, onions, lettuce leaves, fruit. To note, so on today, I won't bore you by telling you, I'll probably do this in a separate video, but there's fruit in there 4 meals. There's veg in there in terms of asparagus, kimchi, onion, spinach, lettuce across 3 meals. So I've got 4 different types of veg going in, and I've got banana, pineapple, strawberries, blueberries and or raspberries, 4 to 5 different types of fruit, antioxidants, polyphenols, bromelain for digestive aid from the pineapple, quercetin, digestive aid from the onions, spinach full of nitrates, great for lowering blood pressure and improved blood flow, potential benefits to the cardiovascular system. So I'm covering all aspects in 5 meals within 5,000 calories. We'll run through the electrolytes at another date because this video is quite long. Anyway, 2 vlogs a week. We are in off season, and I'm going to call this Road to Ifbb Pro 2028. Off season 1, let's get it. I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks all for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, comment down below what you want to see in future videos, collabs, etc. I'd love to get on a few podcasts. For anyone that has made it this far, thanks for watching. Remember to like the video, subscribe as well, and peace out. I'll see you in the next one.